Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a Virginia subscriber who contacted me. He wants to share a couple of things that he has witnessed just recently. And, we'll get into that in the upload. A couple of links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that, they just don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now, everyone, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? All right, everybody. Tonight I have a subscriber. You may remember him from the Virginia encounter. His name is DJ. He contacted me a little while ago. He's been kind of mapping out disappearances, and he has a theory on some things. He wants to share something that he's aware that happened. He also had a friend of his who his brother had an encounter. So he's going to share a little bit of stuff with us today. DJ, how are you today?
I'm pretty good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very good. It's great to have you back. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So basically, you have been keeping track of all of these disappearances since the Eric Smith disappearance happened down by the mines. And just recently, you shared something with me. Let's get into that, can we?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, since before Eric Smith, a little bit before that, I studied Dogman and cryptid off and on, and then I started paying a little bit of attention to disappearances, and then with his disappearance, I started paying more attention because it hit close to home. That was, in the same town I'm from Tazewell County. And I paid more and more attention to around Tazewell County and following counties around down in here, and following states that are close, like Tennessee, and right over the line in West Virginia and Kentucky, and down through North Carolina, especially right here in the closest 5 counties. There's been disappearances, and in my area alone, there's been several that are still years and years in development, and they haven't found nothing. They have no suspects. They're not saying, they're not talking, they're just cold cases. And, it's one happened here, I guess a few weeks ago. A woman disappeared, and she was gone for several days, and they couldn't find her. In most cases, missing persons is usually solved within 48 to 72 hours in most situations. And this woman was gone for several days. And there was rumors going around that she had seen things that nobody else would listen to. And when they finally found her, she was, let's just put it, in a situation and a circumstance against her will. I don't know whether they thought that, she was mentally unstable, or they wouldn't accept her. I don't know, but I don't know the whole story. It's just rumor, but she was put somewhere for a reason, against her own wish. That's all I can allocate around that at this time. But rumor was she had been seeing things, and certain things were following her. And, if she would go out to jog and walk, where she was at, there was all kinds of wood lines and big patches of wood, small patches of wood. She'd been followed, she said, heard things, seen things that aren't normal, which take it for a grain of salt is what it's worth. It's a pretty good affiliate that I have for my information, but it's not 100%. Anything could be. So And there's other disappearances around here that just, there's one in Buchanan County, right close to the Kentucky border. A girl disappeared several months ago, and she is still yet unheard from. And like I said, there's no suspects, and that have been detained and arrested or any follow-ups, any leads anywhere. They just, like, they fell off the face of the earth.
Right.
And all these people that have disappeared, they're in counties with, it's the bush out here, basically. I mean, we're in very, very rural areas, and there's just a lot of questions that are unanswered.
Right. Now, I think you said that when she came back, that she said something about a walking dog or eyes or something like that.
Golden eyes and golden and bluish colored eyes when she would go jog. She caught sight of one night in the brush that was following her.
Okay.
And the rumor, and she would also state when she would move, it would move. When she'd stop, a couple seconds later, she'd hear it stop. And it was high enough off the ground that it was no normal animal. And I reckon the light from the surrounding area where she was at bounced off the edge of the wood line, and that's how she's seen them.
Right. Now, where in the grand scheme of things would where Eric Smith disappeared to where this lady disappeared, what's the distance? Is it pretty close, or?
It's a few miles apart. It's probably, I would say, 35 miles, 25, 35 miles apart.
Okay. All right.
But, how he disappeared, and this is how it goes now. Like I said, we live in rural areas. I knew the man personally. I had met the man because he worked for Consolidated Coal Company, which is Consol over here, was one of the bigger customers we had as a contracting outfit that I worked for. And he was a safety director at the time, and I'd met him, and he was a nice man. And he was also a deer hunter. And the day he disappeared, is what they say they brought the dogs in. The dogs tracked him from his house through the woods to his tree stand. And I've heard two stories back to the house, and then I've heard they tried to track him back to the house, but anyway, it ended in one of them two areas. They either tracked him back to the house, they thought, or they tracked him to the tree stand. And I remember the day that they had several volunteers covering that mountainside. You could see it from the roadway, with the lit up jackets, the reflective colors. They were all over the mountainside, and it was nothing ever found. And that is years ago. I think that was 7, going on 8 years ago. And the man had everything to live for. He had a good paying job, a loving family, children, nice home, excellent reputation in the community, and just disappeared.
Yeah, that's.
And then there was another man before him disappeared from around in the lower parts of where he's from too. And to this day, he's never been found, or they can't explain what happened to him.
So
I'm not saying, Jeff, that ever missing persons,
No, I know.
Cryptid related, but it's just a few that, around here when people disappear or something like that, there's usually an explanation they're found or something like that. Even in the furthest case, murder. But when there's nothing and no suspects, it's time possibly to consider other means of disappearances and turning your head to the things you don't want to believe and think of.
Right. And especially through the last couple of months, it seems like Virginia all the way down through is really hot. So that makes a lot of sense to whatever happened to that poor woman a couple weeks back. Now, you've got a friend who has a brother who's a hunter. This one's a little bit interesting as well. Not a little bit, a lot of it interesting.
Yeah, it really hit close, but he was bow hunting the other day and crossbow hunting, and their family farm over where they hunt, there's a lot of deer. he seen his brother walking toward him up over the ridge, out of breath, and just thought that looked like he was ready to collapse, according to what my friend told me. And I can't use his name because I don't have his permission, but I'll just say he was Bill. Bill come to his brother and was staggering and out of breath, about ready to collapse. And my friend helped Bill into the house, tried to calm him down. He was shimmying and shaking and sweating and just jerking all over the place, he said. And after it took hours for him, to get him calm, he had to sit with him and talk to him, console him before he calmed down. And when he started speaking, he just said, hey, the first thing his brother asked him is, where's your crossbow? He said, my God. He said, I guess I left it. And he said, what happened? He said, I seen something. And he said, what did you see? He said, I don't want to discuss it until I come to terms with and accept it. Was I seeing things, or was my mind playing a trick on me, or I find out what I see? Well, he stayed at his brother's house that night because I didn't really want to go nowhere else. And it was about wee hours of the morning, my friend said, Bill, his brother, was on the computer at his house. Well, when he had finally knocked off to sleep, he went in there on the computer because he was nosy, I guess, wanting to find out what he was doing. And he pulled up the tracks of where he'd been on the computer and seen where he had been, the history. And he was actually researching Dogman. He had several pictures and several sites that he'd been to, searching for information, including pictures and videos on YouTube and Google searches. And as a matter of fact, I think he said, Jeff, that your name and your site came up on there as well, but he pretty well figures that's what he thinks. And he's still not discussing it as of right now.
Right.
But I pray for him that he'll finally, find the answers he's looking for and deal with it in the amount of time that it don't hinder his day-to-day life.
And that was, about a half an hour from the area around. So pretty much a surrounding area. Like the other night when I had Dark Waters on, it's just not in one vicinity. It's a pretty broad area.
Yeah, very broad.
Yeah. And he had scratches and scrapes, or were
Oh yeah, he was tore all to pieces from, I reckon, the bushes and the briars and the limbs and saplings that he run through just to get back. I mean, crossbows aren't cheap. I mean, depends, you get what you pay for. But when I understand, he had a pretty prominent product he used to hunt with, a very expensive brand name. And he didn't thinking, he was just thinking, I guess, a flight or fight, and he just went flight.
Right.
And he forgot it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been numerous accounts of, I forget, it was in Oklahoma, where the guy had shared his friend had gotten so startled or freaked out that he actually left his shotgun sitting by a tree and had to go back for it. So, I mean, that's not an uncommon thing right there to pick up and run as fast as you can to get out of that area.
Yeah, I know that. Maybe at a later time, but I know a little bit about that.
Right. Another thing is, you've shared one encounter with us that you had miles away from where you live now, at an old family farm that you grew up at. But as of right now, you had a pretty rough encounter last night, and we'll get into that, not tonight, probably not tomorrow, but in a couple of days, maybe a week or two, when you're ready to share it, when you're ready to share that with us, because
right now I'm still like you. I mean, you help us, Jeff. We thank you. I mean, you actually listen to us, and you don't point fingers, and you don't question. And that's one thing I've come to love and respect about you and your channel, and what you and DW stand for. I mean, you two are the greatest, and I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have the platform. I really didn't think about it as much tell you, I know for a fact, there's something around here and down here. That's all I'm going to say about it this time, because I'm still sort of, as bad as a man hates to admit it, come to terms, and I'm not exactly mentally sound right now enough to confident in myself to feel like coming forward with it. And until I'm ready, I'll let you know.
That's understandable, 100%. So I'll stop it right there on that one. Yeah, so I'm hoping that when your friend's brother finally shares what happened,
I'll definitely
maybe you
let
can
you
have
know.
him share it to you, and you can share it with us, or you can let him know that he's more than welcome to contact me and share his encounter if he'd like. I'd really like to know more about if you can keep your kind of ear to the ground on the woman, because that one's very interesting. Like when you first shared that with me, I was like, wow, that's definitely something that I want to hear about, because it's very scary. It's scary, you know. I mean, people don't believe you, and you know, your own family will not really turn against you, but kind of do what they think is best for you at the time, and that's put you in a place where they think is best for you. And that's what sucks about having cryptid encounters like this, is, you know, not everybody believes in them. So, you know, you tell the wrong person, next thing you know, you're in a padded room for 72 hours or 60 days or whatever it is. So, well,
yeah, exactly. And just throw the bone out there. From what he understood, my source told me that the term walking dog was used.
Yes.
Take from that what you will, but that's what I was told that you used.
Which is, once again, I mean,
pretty much
walking wolves, walking dog, dogman, werewolf. Call them what you want.
Same thing.
But yeah. So, DJ, I really appreciate you coming on today. And like I said, you're definitely more than welcome. Take your time, recover, and when you're ready, come back on. And please, you know, reach out to your brother's friend. Let him know if he's ever willing to come on and share. That's great. Or if he wants to share it with you, that's just as good.
I definitely sure will.
All right, my friend, I appreciate everything. Just stay safe, man. Stay safe. And, I mean, you know what's best for you around your area. So keep yourself safe, and pretty much right now, keep yourself armed.
No, that's the truth. An understatement.
All right, buddy. Have a great night.
Jeff, I want to thank you for your time, and everybody out there, you know, all those people that have had experiences or believe in these experiences or have family, you know, devastated by this. We thank you. You and people like you and Mr. Dark Waters really, really make it worth our while, you know, to believe and extend our hand out there. And we thank you for you all extending your belief and faith in us, and for you all people out there who want to come forth and choose somebody to unload this. These guys are out there for you, and I just want to thank you for your time.
DJ, it's always a pleasure, man. It really is. Stay safe, all right?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. I know that you guys are dying to hear his encounter. When I say it's terrifying, it is terrifying. And it happened last night. I cannot push the gentleman to share his encounter because he's not ready. I mean, I would honestly love to have him share that with you guys tonight. But he's got to do it on his own time. And to be honest, just talking to him prior to the interview, I honestly could tell that it was a horrific event that he went through. He did share a little bit of it with me. But when you know you've talked to somebody prior or previously, and they like to talk and share stuff and just shoot the shit, that's the kind of guy he is. During our conversation prior to the interview, there were just long pauses of nothing being said, to where he was still trying to cope with what he saw. And let me tell you, what he saw is Dogman related, but for some reason a lot scarier than your atypical Dogman encounter. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's upload, guys. With that, I want to bid you farewell.